Hi, welcome to your virtual orientation for your 32 BHDS Jay Flight by Jayco. We're going to start our orientation on the outside of the trailer, and we're going to begin at the front. First thing we'll come to here is your GFCI plug that is out underneath your awning. Right beside that and below, one of 4 stabilization jacks. These stabilization jacks are located at the 4 corners of the trailer and are used to stabilize. What that means is your trailer should be fully level before you engage the stabilization jacks. Next, come to your front storage compartment. It's got a latch system here. Pull out and it holds onto the door. And in this front storage compartment, we'll see it is a pass-through, and we have a couple items located here. The first item we'll notice is the manual crank for your stabilization jacks. It is also used as a crank for your spare tire. Also located here, the crank for your electric tongue jack, and I'll show you where to use that shortly. Let's continue along the front, and we'll come to your battery storage area. Please note the inline fuse here. If you have any issues with any of your electrical, namely your electric tongue jack, this would be the first place I would look, would be the fuse. Next, we'll come to your propane system. This is a double 30-pound bottle propane system. You'll see the regulator here. One note to make, this is a used unit and it does not have a crossover regulator. So what that means is it'll draw from whatever tank you have open, and then you'll have to come out and basically open the other bottle if you need to utilize the second bottle. Right in front of our propane storage area, we have your electric tongue jack. We have an on-off for loading light. I don't have the battery connected or plugged in at the moment. And then we have your electric tongue jack control. Now, you will note here, this is the port that you would put the electric tongue jack manual crank in, and I showed you that earlier in the front storage compartment. If we take a minute to crouch down here, and we'll take a look at your safety breakaway switch. Now this safety breakaway switch, you hook the loop end up to the tow vehicle. Then in the event that the tow vehicle is separated from your RV, this pin will be pulled, engaging your trailer brakes. Conversely, if you find that the trailer brakes are on when you go to tow, sometimes it does happen that you trip or kind of pull on this by mistake and it gets partially pulled out, but not all the way, but still enough to engage the brakes. So come and make sure that this is seated properly in the housing. Continue around the outside. We'll come to the off-door side of your front pass-through storage compartment. Continue to make our way along the outside, and the next area we'll come to, you'll see that we have between the slides on the off-door side, we have your 30 amp power supply cable. This is what you would connect to your campground power or your power at home. Now most of us do not have a 30 amp plug on the outside of your home in order to plug it in. It is a different plug end, so we have provided you with a conversion block in order to convert it to a 15 amp plug end. Now all appliances, namely your AC, will not function off the 15 amps. However, you're able to run your fridge and everything else. We have your outdoor shower. We have the venting for your furnace. Now be careful, this does, or exhaust for your furnace, sorry, this does get very warm. And we have your city water connection. The city water connection is where you put the garden hose either from your home or from the campground that you would use to pressurize the water system of the RV, then allowing you to use it as you would use your water at home. Also on this side, we have your outdoor access or outside access to your hot water tank. A couple things to note here. One is your pressure relief valve. 2 being the drain plug, which is here. If you're ever removing this drain plug, especially with the pressurized system, always make sure you open the pressure relief valve to let any excess pressure out of the system. Down here, and add some light to the situation, we'll notice the output for your black and gray water tank. And right beside, we'll have the valve handle for your black water tank. And because they can be hard to find, I'm gonna crawl under here for you and show you the valve handle for your gray water tank. So if you're camping anywhere for any period of time, I'd suggest connecting your sewer to the campground sewer if it is directly connected, and pulling the valve handle before you open the slide. If you have to drive to the dumping station, then it doesn't really matter. Your slide should be closed. But if you're anywhere more permanent that has a more permanent hookup to your black or gray, just make sure that you put the slide out last. Continue along the outside. Next thing we'll come to is the main input for your cable or satellite TV. And as we come around the rear of the trailer, you'll notice ladder access to the roof. We've come almost full circle. We're on the door side again. We'll see your outdoor kitchen. This is equipped with running water, refrigerator, an AC power supply, as well as an outdoor cooktop. This cooktop is utilized with this quick connect hose that is connected here, the barbecue end, and here at the RV end. Now you will see that there is a valve here. This valve is currently in the closed position. This is the open position. This valve needs to be open before you can utilize the propane system of the RV with your RV barbecue or cooktop. And you will notice that the quick connect hose also has a valve, so both of these would need to be like this in the open position. Here, and continue along the outside, we'll notice a few things underneath your awning. First, we'll make mention of your two speakers. These two speakers can be used in conjunction with the stereo inside the unit. If we look down below your speakers, you'll see we have a potable water fill point. This is where you would take the garden hose from your house or wherever you're getting your drinking water. You would put it in here and fill up your freshwater tank. You utilize your freshwater tank whenever you're doing any camping and there isn't a freshwater supply. The last thing I want to mention before we continue inside is the outside venting for your refrigerator. It's important that this remains obstruction free at all times, as maximum airflow is needed through these vents in order for your refrigerator to operate properly. Let's go inside and see what else we can find. As we step inside and turn back and we'll look at the door, we will notice we have your unit fire extinguisher. This fire extinguisher, I feel, is in a very good spot. It's close by to the door if you're cooking outside. So you still have quick access to it right inside the door. However, if you are cooking inside, it's also close by for that purpose as well. And if I pan just a little bit to my right here, the next thing we'll come to is your carbon monoxide propane detector. Now this carbon monoxide propane detector has a button on the front that you can press to test it to make sure it's functioning properly. It'll issue a series of loud beeps, and then the lights will flash, and then it'll come back with a solid green light if your system is functioning as it should. I usually suggest that you press the button on the front to test that it's functioning properly every 6 months. And the reason I do that is generally the recommendations for your smoke detector is to change the batteries and make sure it's operational every 6 months on daylight savings time. Just inside the door to your left, as you come in, you'll notice this cabinet. That is where you'll find a lot of controls for the RV. We have your switching for your awning, as well as the slide. And we have the main light switch for the interior of the trailer and your outdoor light. Just above that, we have your indication panel that will give you levels for your battery, fresh, black, and gray water tanks. And below that, we have switching for your water pump, for your water heater on gas, and your water heater on electric. And if we look just below this, you'll see that we also have the 12-volt power capabilities inside the RV. Next, we'll take a minute to step into the bedroom here. Make note of a few things. First is the underbed storage. As you can see, it has props to help support and lift the bed, which is always nice. Sometimes they can be heavy. We'll put that back down. While we're in the bedroom, we'll make note of your emergency exit. In order to utilize your emergency exit, you would press down on the black tab, push the red handle up and over till it pops out, bring it perpendicular to the wall of the trailer or the window, and then push the handle all the way out until the handle is fully out of the trailer. Then you can pull on the red tab and you can escape to safety. Also in the master bedroom or the main bedroom, we'll have a mounting bracket position marked for a TV mount, as well as 120 volt power and your cable or satellite output in order to have a TV in the bedroom. As we turn, we'll see the position of the television as well as the stereo, and we'll talk about both for just a minute. Now you will see under here that we have some plugins, but we have a 12 volt connection point here, as well as switching for a booster for your antenna. So if you're trying to connect to your satellite or cable, the green light should be off. If you're watching whatever free-to-air TV you can get just with your antenna, you want that signal booster to be on, so you'd want that green light to be on. However though, if you are trying to connect to cable or satellite, this will interfere with your signal if that signal booster is on. Right next door here, we have stereo, complete with CD player. We also have headphone and auxiliary in capabilities, and I don't know if you can see it here, but we have different speaker zones. Now these different speaker zones are how you would utilize the speakers outside underneath your awning. Zone A is inside, Zone B is outside under the awning, and then you can also have Zone A and B together. Next, we'll have a look at your oven and cooktop or range top. You'll note that this unit has an electric sparker. So in order to light the burners, you would turn this to the light position, turn the electric sparker, and then we have flame. The same can be done for every top burner. The exception is the oven. Now always make sure you open the oven door when lighting. In order to light your oven, you will have to utilize a barbecue lighter or something of that nature, whatever you're comfortable with. Hopefully you can see it, but there is the pilot. So you would hold your barbecue lighter or whatever source of ignition you have there, while also pressing and holding this knob in here while it's in the light position. And we'll take a look at your load center or power center here. This is where you would find your breakers like you might see in your house, and they function much the same, and your fuses that you might see in your vehicle. The refrigerator operates on gas or electric. If you place it in the auto setting, it will automatically switch between gas or electric, choosing the electricity option if it's available. When set on gas or set to gas, if you come in and you see that this light is flashing, that would indicate that it did not light properly. Your refrigerator will try to light 3 times before it quits and does not try again. If that happens, turn it off again, go out, make sure your bottles are open out front. If they are, oftentimes it's just a matter of not enough pressure built up in the system in order for it to light the appliance properly. So after you've checked the bottles and you've given it a minute, you can come back in, try to light it again, and it should light properly for you. If we make our way to the back bunk area, we'll pause to make note of the bunkhouse or bunk room slide controls. And just below that, we have your thermostat. This thermostat is labeled pretty well. You have your off position. If you slide it as far as you can over here, you'll operate your AC. Move it back this way one selection and you'll move it to your operating just the fan, and move it all the way this way and that will be what operates your furnace or your heat. And then on this side we simply have different fan options of auto, high, low, and just on, high and low. And then in the center here we would use that to select your desired temperature. We'll step into your bunk area, turn on some lights. We'll make note of these J cubes. They're movable. You can move them all around, fold them up and out in any combination you'd like. So we will make mention of your emergency exit in the bunk room. I always suggest that you make any kids that would be sleeping in here familiar with the procedure for getting out in the case of an emergency. And in this case it's pretty easy. You just bend this over. That has undone that latch. And then you simply do the same for this. You flick the handle up, that'll undo that latch. Then you can push the window out and you can escape to safety. We'll also notice in the bunk area, we have a spot for a small TV equipped with 120 volt power and your output for your cable or satellite TV. Now we will note this port. This is used with the air conditioning system. Now as we make our way back into the main area of the trailer, if the baffles are closed here, then it will force the cold air to these ports located throughout the RV. However, with these baffles open, it will force the majority of the cold air to come right here. And we'll make note of this cupboard here. We're going to open this up, and inside we'll see the inside axis of the back of your hot water tank. Importantly, we'll note that right now, with this valve closed and these 2 valves open, this unit is set up to draw from the hot water tank. This is what you would call summer mode. In winter mode, when you're going to winterize, you don't need to fill up the hot water tank with antifreeze. That's just a lot of antifreeze for no reason. So we would turn this valve, and then open this one. And what that'll do is the water will come up, hit here, not go anywhere, and it'll be forced to go through here and just loop back to the rest of the system. That way you can winterize and flush all the water out and put antifreeze in without having to fill up your hot water tank. So we come back into the main area again. One of the last things we'll look at is the placement of your water pump. And it is right here underneath your sink. And there's a couple of valves in here as well, like we saw on your hot water tank. And those valves are used to direct the flow of your pump and where it will draw from. So currently, you can see that this handle is pointing in line with the fill tube, and this valve is closed. That would indicate that if the pump is turned on, it's going to try to draw water or liquid from this fill tube. Now what we'd ideally use this for is to winterize your RV. So right now your pump is in winterization mode. This would be hooked up to antifreeze jug, and the pump would be turned on and it would draw antifreeze throughout the system. If you would like to draw from your freshwater tank because you're going to be going camping, you don't have a garden hose to hook up to pressurize your water system, you'd use your water pump to do so, and it would do so by drawing water from your freshwater tank. In order to do that, we need to close this valve and open this one. Now it is in line and set to draw from this tube or piping, and that goes to your freshwater tank. Let's go in the bathroom. We'll come in here. We'll turn on some lights. There we are. The most important thing in here, which is your GFCI plug. This GFCI plug has a reset and a test button. If we test it, it'll pop this button out. So we push that back in to reset it. If you find that any plugs, like the one in your outdoor kitchen, or on the outside of the RV under the awning, or your counter plugs in the kitchen indoors here, if you find that you do not have power there, this would be one of the first places I'd come and look. I would make sure that this hasn't been tripped. So you just press the top button to reset it, and then you could go check and see if you now have electricity at those receptacles that weren't functioning previously. That about does it for our virtual orientation. I hope you found it useful and informative. If I did forget something, just give us a call here at Christie's and we'd be happy to find the information for you and give you all the assistance that you would need. Thank you very much and have a great day.